Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everyone, I'm Debbie Potts and I have my friend Jessica Tai finally on my show. We're both busy schedules and trying to coordinate a time. I finally got her to come on the show to talk about her keto program and what her role is as a nutritional therapy practitioner. She's also a wellness educator, holistic health coach, podcast host, and a true farm girl. Jessica is passionate about helping people achieve positive results through proper nutrition and wellness practices, just as myself. So I just love her and a beautiful family. They live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she's happily married to her cute husband, Derek, who's just wonderful since 1996, as I met them on the low-carb keto cruise last year that Jimmy Moore puts on each year. They are so much fun. And they even have 5 children on top of that busy work schedule. But she and her husband, Derek, are amazing parents, these 5 kids, plus a barnyard full of farm animals ranging from chicken to alpacas. Her desire to help teach and lead as many people as possible into optimal health and wellness has led her to nutritional coaching in the wellness space. Jessica enjoys speaking, podcasting, teaching corporate wellness programs, and educating the public in her personal homestead. She is also passionate about helping to teach families, especially the next generation, where real food comes from and how good nutrition and lifestyle practices build a strong and healthy body. Jessica has her own brick and mortar wellness practice located in Loveland, Ohio, where she sees clients one-on-one and online coaching program where she works with clients from around the world. And we'll talk about her retreat she has coming up at her house in March that I'm not able to make because I will be at Expo West Natural Products Show. So I'm going to miss out on the retreat. But let's bring on Jessica and ask her definition of optimal health and well-being. Forward. All right, guys, I have the beautiful keto blonde Jessica Tai on the show today.
Hello, hello.
Hi, I'm so glad. I just was doing your intro saying we finally got you on my show. It's been a few months with my crazy schedule, closing my business in the fall, and then you and your busy schedule is coaching and 5 kids and farm animals and retreats. And
Right.
So I'm happy to have you and talk shop because you are a nutritional therapy practitioner as well, and you're doing health coaching and online group coaching programs.
Yeah.
And I want to share your retreat you're having at your homestead that I'm not able to make.
Oh, I know. I'm so bummed.
So it sounds like it's fun stuff you're doing. So let's kind of talk about what is your mission, your purpose, your why that you're doing all that you do.
Yeah, that's good. My husband, he's a business owner as well. And we've been entrepreneurs and have multiple businesses. And he's always he's like the business guy. He's got a degree in business and marketing. And he's like, here's my mission statement and he's got everything. And I'm more like, just fly by the seat of my pants. I just do it because it's what I want to do and it feels good and it feels like, so you have to ask me these difficult questions for me, Debbie, but
yes, therapy session.
Yes. So my why, I don't have an elevator pitch. And I guess I probably should. I remember learning that in nutritional therapy school, right? They teach you you need an elevator pitch. And I really don't have one except to just say that I do what I do because I feel like that's what I was put here to do. I just feel like this is my calling. It's my passion. It's what makes sense to me. It's what lights me up. It's what, somebody could be talking about some other, some other thing. And it makes total sense to them. And I'm just sitting there scratching my head. I don't even know what you're talking about. And it doesn't make any sense to me or whatever. And then I could start talking about physiology or biology or health, nutrition, wellness, whatever. And that same person might be scratching their head like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like what? So it's just like the thing that makes sense to me. And, I always say that I'm glad that I didn't I didn't go to college right out of high school. Like that was, I got married very young, and my husband was in college at the time. And I always say that I'm actually really glad that I didn't, because I didn't learn what I wanted to be when I grew up until I grew up. So I would have wasted a lot of time, because the things that I thought I was interested in, I really wasn't interested in, or I didn't realize that was not really my thing. So I guess it's just I do what I learned through life is my passion, and what I think I just really enjoy doing. And that's kind of why I do everything. It's why I'm a wife. It's why I'm a mom. It's why I have a farm full of animals. And it's why I do nutrition. Those are my passions.
What do you feel is missing out in our society that you feel like you have to fill that void in, that you offer these keto coaching programs and health building programs? What do you feel like really drives you to do this, that there's like no one's doing this and no one's talking about this, or this is such chaos out there that I really need to help people do this and follow your passion and purpose?
So I would say when it comes to the nutritional coaching, and really it's not, for me, it's really lifestyle coaching. But when it comes to that, a perfect example is my client that I literally just got off the phone with before we started this call. She's a new client to me, talking to her about, the kind of the issues that she's having in her life, some of the kind of health concerns that she has, and the struggles that she's having, and looking at all the information that I gathered on her and seeing that it's consistently, in my practice anyway, it's consistently almost the same stuff with every single client. There are very few outliers. It's almost always the same foundational problems manifesting into these other areas of their lives, these other health conditions, these other issues. And this particular client was no different. And as we're talking, she was, explaining to me some of the things her doctors had said, and things that she just, she's pretty educated as far as health and wellness. And she spent a lot of time doing a lot of research on her own and listening to experts and podcasts and learning. And one of the things that she said was she just, every time she would go in to see any doctor, any allopathic doctor, it was another prescription, a new prescription for something else. And she finally said that she just looked at him and said, I feel terrible. Like, you're telling me my numbers look good. You're doing these blood tests. You're telling me everything looks good. And I feel awful. And the only thing you're offering me is another pill. Yeah. And so, she was just explaining that, she told him, what is this pill going to do for me that all of these other pills that you gave me are not doing for me? And so she was one of the few, and I don't see few educated as a derogatory thing, but she was one of the few that has educated herself in this, and that doesn't just put their entire health and wellness in their doctor's hands, which most of us have grown up being taught to do, right? Like it's the white coat syndrome. You're God. You walk into the office everything. And whatever that doctor says, that is what you're going to do. And unfortunately, the majority of doctors have two things that they can do. They can prescribe you a pill, or they can schedule you a surgery. That is what they are trained in. And it is not their fault. They're not bad people. It's just what they're taught. But we go into their office expecting them to know how to tell us to do certain lifestyle practices or certain nutrition practices to help our bodies and to heal our bodies, but they don't know that information. But as clients or as patients, we don't understand that they don't know that information unless we're well educated, like this particular client was this morning. And then, so she goes in and says this, and she's like, this is not right. Like this isn't right. She had been feeling terrible and her numbers were great. She was on statins. She's a young woman. She had been put on statins and she was just going downhill, tons of joint pain, all these issues. She took herself off of statins. And she said within 5 days, all of the issues she had been having were gone. So this was what drove her to go back to the doctor and have this conversation. And so it's people, this is the reason, talking to people like her, this is what I think is missing. This is why I do what I do. This is why I know you do what you do. It's to help educate people that that they just don't know what they don't know. So the more information,
saying that same thing. You don't know what you don't know.
Yes. So it's like, they're not bad people. The doctors aren't bad people. The patients aren't bad people. It's just, they're not dumb. They just don't understand. They just haven't, no one has told them. No one's given them the knowledge. So I feel like the more of us are out there talking on podcasts, educating in seminars, and and talking to clients and doing group coaching, and we're on Facebook and social media and all these different, this is how people are going to hear it. This is how they're going to learn. And this is how they're going to say, you know what, all of this stuff is making sense to me. And maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm allowing my doctor to prescribe me to do.
Yeah, I keep thinking I'm hustling. You got to keep pushing it every day. And I'm doing podcasts 3 times a week now. It's like, I need get this mission. I need to get this out there, because I feel like same thing. It's just like, we got to keep talking about it and spreading that word. And my story is, the life is not a race part, and chronic stressors, external and internal, that are going to cause all this dysfunction. And I think you just have to keep at it. You're doing a retreat and speaking, and, we're trying to get out there and get this information. So hopefully over time it'll start to kick in and people start to think outside the box and process it. I must say, I have a client, I do 90-day coaching now in individuals, and I have a surgeon. And so it's like, I keep hoping and put it out in the universe that I hope, he's totally changed in the first month, and all this positive responses from the nutrition and lifestyle changes. And we haven't even gotten to this lab work. And it just is like, okay, just spread the word in your whole hospital, medical doctor offices of what you're doing. And it's totally opposite than everything they've even learned. So, I think it's just, we keep trying to create that impact and inspire others. So let's go to the next question, kind of ties into what we're passionate about, is what is optimal health to you? How do you define being healthy?
I think this kind of goes back to kind of what that brings to mind, is, how lately, or maybe it was like 2018 through 2019, kind of those time spans, kind of the hashtag, or like the big, talked about thing on social media a lot was self-love, like self-love, self-care. It was all this kind of stuff. And while I think, that's great, I think what we're missing is the part of, I don't know the right word for it. We're missing the part of maybe like self-acknowledgement, or like just where we're connecting with ourselves more than like, take time for yourself to, relax and do all this, which I think is awesome. But if we're taking time to do all that stuff, but we're not actually connecting with our own body, like we're not listening to what our body's telling us, like that's what I think is really going to define how healthy you can be, and what your kind of your wellness state is. Like, how well can you listen to your body? Are you listening to it when it's screaming at you for more nutrients? Are you listening to it when you are not eliminating the toxins from your body, when your digestion's off, when, do you know that that's a problem? I mean, do you understand when things don't feel right, do you just think, oh, well, I'm just getting older and that's the way it is? Or are you listening to your body that's telling you things aren't right? I am suffering. You're not giving me what I need, whether that's, I need more rest, whether that is, I need stress management, whether that is, I need more nutrients. I need you to help me to be able to assimilate these nutrients, like whatever that is, but just, being able to listen to our body and understand what that is. And then I think the health and wellness part comes when we can listen to our bodies and understand what parts we're missing. So like, again, back to this client this morning, just because she's fresh on my mind, but her story is certainly not uncommon at all. But back to her is, she knew, like, I feel terrible. You're telling me, doc, that my labs look great. Super. I'm good. Glad for you. I'm so glad my numbers look great, but I feel like crap. Like, she knew something cannot be right. Like, I don't feel good. You're telling me I'm well, but I am not well. So I think wellness is, how do you feel? Are you listening to your body? What is it telling you? Do you feel do you feel right in your own skin? Do you feel good? Do you feel vibrant? Do you feel like you can get up every day and conquer the world? Because if you're dragging out of bed every morning, if you're having a hard time going to sleep at night, if you're going to the bathroom every 3 days, if you're, having mood swings and energy swings, that's not optimal wellness. You're not doing well. And that's not because you're getting older. Like that's not the way we're meant to be. We are meant to function.
I'm laughing because I said the exact same thing. I just did a 45-minute podcast for Leanne Vogel's her podcast. She had me do, and I just said, I think everything you just said.
That is so funny. This happens every time we talk, Debbie. We are very much on the same page very often.
I know. It's so funny, but that's what I'm trying to get out to everyone. It's like, I know you're a keto coach, and I believe in being fat adapt and burning fat. And so teaching people what to eat to burn fat is what we're all getting across. And I think there's so much confusion or what to do because everyone's kind of different diets, and it's not sustainable if you're feeling like your diet. And we're trying to teach lifestyle habits, and we're nutritional therapists, so we're looking at how's your digigestion, how's your elimination, detoxification, blood sugar balance. And I think it's overwhelming out there with everyone just doing strict keto, and they're just following what someone else does, and now they're doing carnivore and being super strict, and they're not paying attention to their own bio individuality and saying, okay, this is a great starting point, but how do you feel? And pay attention to those red flags. And I think that's what people are not talking enough about is, all right, we're doing this one size fits all approach, but we're on the same page. I think that we're trying to go, okay, now how do you feel with that? Does that make you feel happy and energetic and full and satisfied? Or are you grumpy and irritated and have a headache and you're bloated and farting and tooting?
Right. Well, in this particular girl, this is a perfect example of what you're saying. So she's trying to be ketogenic. So yes, I do work with a lot of my clients come to me because they know me as, that keto blonde, the keto podcast stuff, like all that. So they think of me like that. But first and foremost, I am a nutritional therapist. I do cyclical keto, I would say. I am most of the time I'm in ketosis, not that I check that much anymore. But in general, I think that we need to be, our goal needs to be metabolic flexibility. We need to be able, I think that we should be most of the time being fueled by fat, because I think that's the superior fuel source. But then we can have carbs, and we will burn through those carbs because our bodies are able to do that the way they were meant to. And then we will go back to burning fat for fuel. So I try to help educate people on that. But this woman was coming to me. She's kind of new to the ketogenic world, and she's trying to do that. And of course, like many, many people that come into keto, she's very much wanting to lose weight. And that is the driving force. Like I want to lose weight. And she has these other things going on, and she knows that she needs help with that. And she's thinking keto will help. So, but we're looking over all of the kind of the symptoms and things that she's going through. And of course I had her, do the NAC. And so we're looking at her symptom burden graph, and I'm trying to help walk her through that. And it's the same thing always for me is your foundation of your health is digestion. If you cannot get the digestion and elimination right, I don't care what diet you do, and specifically ketogenic. So I was trying to speak with her about that, and she's having a really hard time. Her liver's congested. She's having a hard time with bile flow. So she's got a lot of those types of issues, but it's starting upstream with, stomach, obviously hydrochloric acid. And so it's just working its way down, but she's having all of these kind of, symptoms that go along with the fact that she's trying to force fit this ketogenic approach when she can't even emulsify the fat that she's bringing in. So trying to help her understand that things won't get better until you can get this digestion working, whether keto is the best diet on the planet for you right now, it's not the best diet on the planet for you because you can't digest the fat. And you've just gone from a diet that is almost no fat, because like most women, she was doing low fat, low calorie, so you've gone from that to then being like, okay, hey, guess what, liver, gallbladder, now I'm going to drown you in fat, and you better just jump to it, buddy, and start producing that bile, and we're going to do this. And the body doesn't work like that. It's like, hello, wait a minute. What is this? You haven't given me this in years. And now all of a sudden I'm just supposed to like, it's like going out to your garage and you have like a 1930 Chevy Coupe sitting in there that you haven't started since the 30s. And then you go out and you're like, oh, this baby's just going to fire up. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're going to have to clean out that carburetor. You're going to have to do an oil change. You're probably going to have to empty the gas tank and put new gas in. Like, you've got to do some things first to kind of get things moving, get things rolling in the right direction. So, I just think that we really just have to focus on making sure that our bodies are working properly, and we're really focusing more on that, less on like calories or macros. Like, of course, people starting ketogenic diets, they want to know, well, what macros? It's always the question. Well, what do you want my macros to be? It's like I told her today, I said, I don't care. I don't care what your macros are. I want you to eat enough fat for fuel, because if that's what you're trying to get your body to use for fuel and you're not giving it carbohydrates, you have to give it something. Mm-hmm. So you need to eat fat for fuel, but we have got to attack this digestive stuff. You've got to assist your body right now in being able to digest the food that you're putting in it. So yeah, I think worrying about or stressing about like the diet that's not where we need to be. We need to be concentrating on the lifestyle in general. Like, what does your body need? How are you managing it? And, really making sure we've got all that stuff dialed in.
Yeah. And that's, the same as I'm doing is like, are you sitting and eating food and chewing it? Just start simple and stuff that we suggest after, looking at people's nutritional therapy assessment. That's, if people probably don't know what that is, but it's 320, how many questions? 330 questions of
like that. Yep.
Symptoms related to body functions. And I just spent like many days, because I like to go through my clients' answers by hand and look it up in the book and handwrite or type up on my computer their report, because I just think it's so fascinating to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together when you're working with clients on how to restore their health and vitality. But looking at these different clues that you start to see a pattern. And most everybody has poor digestion because of our busy lifestyle, or eating on the go, eating the wrong foods, eating too much refined sugar, vegetable oil. And then how many people do you see when you go to, I've had clients that struggle with weight loss, but then I watch how they eat. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. let's not just focus on what you're eating, but let's talk about how you're eating, because you just inhaled that and ate super fast. Those people that are first to clean off everything on their plate and they didn't even chew their food, and you kind of override the whole I'm full hormones.
Yes,
and
right.
You're like, oh, I'm still hungry. And then you overeat. So I think it is so important that we're out there sharing this information, because everyone's keto carnivore, and it's all about fasting. And let's work on, the other parts. Yes.
Right. Or like what you're saying is another good example that I can think of, is somebody like in their car. Like, I understand life gets busy and you're rushing around, you're trying to get everything done, but somebody in their car, they're going through a drive-through and they're like, well, I can eat keto at Burger King, so I'll just order 6 hamburger patties with cheese and lettuce and no buns and a Diet Coke, and I'm good. And you're like, no, you're not good. Your body is still going to be screaming at you because you just gave it like pretty much no nutrients. And what you did put in it is toxic. So we can't, is that a necessity sometimes to do something? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and say that I never go through a drive-through and I would never eat. Of course, we go out to eat. I eat things that I'm like, you know what? I know that was cooked in a bad oil. And then I do things to help bind that afterwards and try to mitigate that as much as possible. I live in the real world, but I think that it's important for people to understand that, again, like we're saying, like, yeah, you can be keto carnivore. That doesn't make it superior. It's how are you doing that? Are you actually giving your body what it needs? Like, the number one thing people need to think about is how are you giving your body nutrient dense foods that it can actually use to build the cells that you need to grow your hair, have good skin, to fuel your muscles, your joints, all these things that literally the food that you put in your mouth is building you every day. Like, you've got to think of it that way. It can't just be like, oh, well, this is just the means to an end. I just have to shove some food in my face. That's not it. And when we are that disconnected from what we're eating and why we're eating it, that's when we get into all these problems, because we're just not making the connection that is why we are in the place that we're in as far as like how we're feeling or the low amount of energy we have. I mean, how are you supposed to have energy if that's the kind of food that you're eating? I mean, there is no energy in that food. Your body can use almost nothing out of that.
But do you feel that there's a lot of people out there that don't care about what they're eating as long as they're, they're losing fat weight? Because I don't know if you're in these different Facebook group posts, but I find them fascinating to kind of do research, what to podcast about. It's like the questions and comments people have in their posts people share about keto, and it ends up being that dirty keto. And they're like, I don't care if there's, I'm having Coffee Mate filled with chemicals. I'm like, look at the ingredient list. It's disgusting. Right. But they're like, I have lost 20 pounds in 30 days. And, they just don't care about health. They care about fat loss, and they don't care about performance and longevity and, functioning their best each day. It seems like everyone just wants that quick response. So they're jumping on that keto bandwagon now. Probably carnivore is going to be the next thing. And they don't look at, we're saying connect to how you feel and, disconnect and pay attention to yourself. So what do you think of
I do think that I think that's a major thing. And actually so here's how I look at it. And this is anybody listening that maybe is kind of teetering on that, where they feel like, so I started this and I did the fast food or dirty keto or fast keto or whatever you want to call it diet. And I've lost 20 pounds and I feel amazing. And I've got this thing and that thing going on. I think that's great, but I want to be the first to tell you that's not sustainable. Like it's like any other diet. If you turn keto into any other fad diet, it will work for you for a certain period of time. It would be the same as if you said, if somebody told you to go eat 1,200 calories a day, even though your body needs 2,000 calories a day, or whatever your BMR is, if I told you to eat less, you would lose weight for a certain period of time. But at some point, your body is not going to do that anymore. It's going to say, you know what? I've got things in place here and I'm going to stop this because this girl is clearly starving to death. I'm getting no nutrients. It's day in and day out. I'm getting less calories than I need to function. And so your metabolic rate's going to reset, and then you're going to plateau, and then you're going to start gaining weight. I think it's the same thing with dirty keto or whatever you want to call it. If you continually give your body not the nutrients that it needs, you're giving it food, like it's getting food, it's getting fuel, and you may even be getting enough calories or more calories than you need, but there are no nutrients coming in with that. You're going to start running into things like, this is where digestive issues start happening. So maybe you have no digestive issues right now, or that you know of, you don't have any. And then all of a sudden, now you're eating this way, you're getting no B6, you're getting no zinc. Well, guess what? Now you can no longer produce adequate levels of hydrochloric acid in your stomach. So then it starts out with hydrochloric acid problems, and then it's going all the way down your digestive tract because now your pH is off through the whole process, which is what's going to trigger everything else to happen down the road. You finally get down to your colon, and now this food has sat in your digestive tract so long, now it's sitting in your transverse colon, where all of this is supposed to be, all the good stuff is supposed to be reabsorbed, and all the things that are supposed to be escorted out are supposed to be escorted out. Well, guess what? That process doesn't work well now either, because you messed it up in the beginning. So now the transit time's too long, and it's sitting there, and eventually your colon says, forget it, I don't have the nutrients I need to be able to escort these toxins out. So guess what it does? It reabsorbs all of those bad things that you are designed to be able to get rid of, because you don't have the nutrients needed to be able to get rid of them. You have to give your body those nutrients. So now it reabsorbs it. So now down the road, this could be months, this could be years. Now you've got adrenal issues, you've got thyroid problems, now you're gaining weight you can't get rid of. Now you've got extra body fat you can't figure out why you're getting, because you keep cutting calories, but your body has to store those toxins somewhere because it wasn't able to eliminate them. So now it starts sitting in the body fat. Well, now you can't lose the body fat because your body says, this girl is too sick. I don't have the nutrients I need to be able to detox this stuff. I cannot let go of these fat stores because she's going to be sicker than she won't even be able to function. So it holds on to those fat stores. So I know this is a grim picture, but this is what happens. Yes. And this is why we say, those of us in this industry that are educated in this, not the, Facebook group, armchair nutritionists, but the people that are actually educated in this, that say there is no quick fix. There is no pill that's going to fix your problems. There is no ketone supplement that's going to fix your problems. There is no fast way of losing weight that's going to fix your problems. It's a lifestyle. Your body needs certain things that we cannot change. You can't change that. It needs it. And if you're not giving it to it, then this is the road we end up going down. And then you get frustrated. And then you see people saying, I tried that diet, it didn't work. And then you just throw your hands up in the air like, oh my gosh, really? You tried that diet, huh?
Yeah.
So anyway.
See, everyone, Jessica sounds just like me. I'm not the only one that says all this stuff. I always feel like, get on the rant and just go off and talk about all this stuff. It's like, hammer it in. More people talking like
right. Well, we try to get so many words out in such a short amount of time to help give as much information as possible.
Yeah. Well, it's complex, and you have to work north to south, as we say in nutritional therapy, and work on the whole you. Mm-hmm. I say the holistic method, that nutrition is essential. And we start with that. And how do you coach people in you do group and online, mm-hmm. or online group and then individual in person? What do you kind of feel like your process is, or do you vary it per person or groups?
I pretty much have kind of the same process. I usually have everybody, they'll go on and do the nutritional assessment questionnaire. Like, I'll have them walk through that. I kind of walk them through and we even do this in group. In my group coaching, everybody gets a NAC, everybody gets a symptom burden graph. I go over kind of the whole basic picture that I just set up. I go over with them, here's the foundation parts of what we need to be looking at. And then here's how it affects all of these other things on the chart. Like, here is how, because you're not eliminating properly, because you're not digesting properly, like here's what we see. So usually my method is, we go over that. I try to help them understand that, and then understand that we don't need to really focus on all these other outliers. What we need to focus on is the digestion, getting the right nutrients in, and proper elimination and detox, and all of these other things will fall into line. And if they don't, then we can address those separately at another time. But the first things we have to do is work on those foundational things. So I really try to not overwhelm people. It's easy for me.
It's so hard.
I know. And it's hard because, this is our passion, right? So for me, I'm like, throw it all at me. Yeah. Give me the 35 things you want me to do. I will start tomorrow, but most people are not that way, and it's overwhelming, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So I try to give my clients one change a week. Mm-hmm. So, and sometimes depending on the client, I'll try to, I'll give them a few more. Maybe I'll give them one change a day through the week. But I really like to kind of chunk it down and just give them kind of the heavy hitting, the big needle movers first, like mm-hmm. do this today, and then you're going to get that down. And then then in a few more days, I'm going to have you start this. Because really, if we can just change the habits, like a lot of times making the biggest impacts is we just have to change the habit. So if the habit is watching late night TV and snacking on a bowl of popcorn and chocolate, then we just need to change what is creating us to have that habit. So maybe we need to not do the late night TV. Maybe we need to build a new bedtime habit. Maybe that is soaking in a bathtub with a cup of tea, which in the beginning, people are like, gritting their teeth, like, oh, I can't believe you would have me do this. Like, no way. I love my TV time. But if you can create that new habit, I promise you don't even think about the TV time late at night anymore, or the tub of popcorn, because that stuff's not serving you well. There's so many reasons why the TV time late at night is bad. It's interrupting your sleep. It's, it's messing with melatonin production. It's messing with cortisol production. And then you're eating right before bed, which is a whole nother issue. So there's all these things wrapped up in that. But then if we can swap it with like something that could also be enjoyable once you get used to doing it, like a bath with Epsom salt. So now you've got magnesium, and now you're relaxing before bed, and maybe you're reading, and maybe instead of, most of us, I know myself included, I want to disappear in a TV show at night because I'm so exhausted and my brain is going like a million miles a minute. And I just want to I want to watch something dumb, right? Like, I don't want to think. I want to just sit there and stare at the TV drooling, right? Like, so, but if we can flip that and maybe do something that's also good for our bodies, and maybe it's for a girl, maybe for a woman, we're reading some trashy romance novel, or, I don't know, like whatever it is for you that, I wouldn't suggest you go sit down and read like some, informational textbook, but maybe you want to get lost in a story, start reading some novels or something at night. Like just kind of creating new habits can be really helpful, and just doing one of those changes a week. And then before you know it, you've got a whole new lifestyle and a whole new set of habits, and you're on your way to being like whole and healthy and just feeling better.
Okay, so I just want to catch up on your schedule for this year, Jessica. As you've got a retreat, you are not speaking on the low carb cruise with me.
Yes.
But where are you going to be
bummed.
this year so people can learn more?
So this year, I'm actually not, well, I can't say not, because there's a couple that I haven't yet said no to, but I think I am taking a break from doing a lot of speaking engagements other than here locally. So I have, my youngest daughter has a lot of health challenges, and she got a new diagnosis recently that we are dealing with. So we don't know what that's going to look like. It's it's a pretty big diagnosis. So she's got a lot of challenges. So we're just a little bit nervous for me to make any commitments that I would have to be gone for any long period of time. And then unfortunately, the low carb cruise, even before knowing that about my daughter, my oldest is 18 and graduating from high school, and his graduation happens to be that week. And so of course I cannot miss that. So unfortunately, that is what kept me from being able to commit to the low carb cruise, which I'm really bummed, because I do love, that's one of my favorite things to do. It's such a fun time. But I do have we're second annual. So we did this for the first time last year. It's called Keto at the Cabin. And we have on our private property, we have a beautiful cabin, like a chalet. It's a really nice log home. And we did a retreat for 3 days last year. But this year we're just doing a 1-day retreat for guests to come join us. We've got 6 experts, 6 keto experts. So we've got this year is Danny Vega, Robert and Crystal Sykes. We've got Stephanie Holbrook and Trent. Every time I say Stephanie Holbrook, I want to say Trent Holbrook, Trent Holbrook. So anyway, he is Fit for the Kingdom podcast. So you can look that up. But so we've got those, and then myself, of course. And we're doing a 1-day retreat from 8 until 8, I believe, or 8 to 7. But we will actually cook 3 meals. So I took what everybody loved so much about last year's retreat, and this is a VIP retreat. So it is very small. We keep the numbers very limited. It's almost a 1-to-1 ratio from experts to guests that are included. And so last year I took what everybody loved, and that's what we're doing this year. So last year, everybody said their absolute hands down favorite thing was the cooking demos and then eating together. So we're going to do 3 meals. So we're going to actually cook dinner or breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And then we'll sit down and eat. And then the other thing they loved the most was the Q&A, where we just have open Q&A, where it's just like a conversation. We're just sitting around like friends talking, and they can ask any questions they want. And then they've got all of us experts there chiming in with our own information. And then we'll do some fitness demos and just things like that, fun stuff. It's a really good time. So that is the only like major commitment that I have as far as speaking this year. That's
busy
the
mom
main
year.
It is. And I started group coaching online. So I am enjoying that so much. So I'm really putting a lot into that. My one-on-one coaching is still on a wait list. So this was the only way I could figure out to be able to help more people and stretch my time out, because there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
So,
With 5
so
kids.
the group coaching's been great. Exactly. And all the animals. We've got about 80 animals on our farm. And
wow. Do you have people that take care of them for you, or do you have to do it all?
No, so I do it pretty much every morning, every night, but I'm up early and I go out and take care of the animals, and then I go out late in the evening. But I do have people that help me. I have some volunteers on the weekends, and then I do have a girl that I hire to help me when I'm not able to be out there. So, wow. But I love it. It feeds my soul. So I don't give that up too often. I love to be out there doing it.
Therapeutic.
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you so much for your knowledge, and definitely show your passion about this topic as I do. It's just, great to have other people there and an inspiration to others, and you're trying to really do a lot to create impact in our society. So I appreciate you and your personality, your knowledge and experience, and helping get that word out there. So what's your website people can go to in your podcast?
Yeah, it's super easy. You can get all the information about me, social media links, podcast link, links to the upcoming conference, the Keto at the Cabin, the group coaching, everything is at jessicatye.com. So jessicatye.com. And then I am on social media. Facebook is Jessica Tye Nutrition. And then Instagram is it's that Keto Blonde.
You spend more time on Instagram or Facebook?
You know what? Probably Facebook, but mostly I spend more time on Facebook, and I have a private Facebook group for clients and people that are part of my group coaching. So I'm in there a lot, not as much on regular Facebook, but I try. And then Instagram, I post several times a week, but I'm really bad at all the social media stuff, to be honest with you. It's not my favorite thing to do. And so my favorite thing to do is like face-to-face communication, like through the group coaching or with my clients or doing podcasts with like you, and this kind of stuff is what I like. I hate sitting on my phone and trying to put on social media posts and all that. And like, I'm just old school, I guess. I'm just old enough to not love the social media.
I find it's tiresome, and I get into it and I'm like, oh, it's too much work. And then KetoCon last year, I was sitting beside Danny Vega and he's showing me his Instagram, and I'm like, there's no way. I do not want to have that in my life ever. So you can have your 100,000 followers and all that, but it's not for me. It totally stresses me out. So
yes, I'm with you. And I think that's good. You have to know what your limits are. And that's a limit for me. And so I do enough to be out there because I feel like the obligation that this is how people will find out more and be able to find the information. But that's the only reason I do it. It's not because I enjoy it.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, sister.
And I'm sad that you will not be at the retreat this year, by the way. I want your listeners to know that we wanted you to be there and it just didn't work out, but maybe next year.
Yeah, for sure. I'm already committed to being a blogger on doing the natural product show and seeing what processed keto foods are coming out next year. It's organic health food, right? So it's always entertaining to be like, oh, you're labeled, because now it's all keto, and it's like, okay, it's actually real food, doesn't come in a package. So, but let's see what you come up with. And then the supplements and CBD is huge. And so I was kind of my third year, my husband's there. So it's kind of fun to see what will be out in the market in a year. And
it is. I love that kind of stuff. It is fun. It's fun to be like in the know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be in the know for a couple of days. So,
okay, good. Well, then you can come educate us.
Yeah. I'll see what's out there. And are you going to the Nutritional Therapy Conference?
That's one of the things that's up in the air for me right now. So I have one of my girlfriends that I went to school with. She's like, oh, come on. We went last year together. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can make it happen. So I'm going to say probably not. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find you on your podcast and a little bit on social media.
Oh yeah. And the podcast is Keto Lifestyle. Yeah. I think I forgot to say that, but.
All right. Listen in, you guys. Great stuff. Thank you for sharing all your info.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.